Hi everyone, I'm Walnut and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC video. Today we're going to be taking the Shiliang Tang Hartford winning team to the ranked ladder. I guess the spreads and opted for a faster flutter main, but I know my spreads are not exact. Here's an example. There's no speed modifications in this scenario, Bundle does not have Cork Drive active, so what do you think is the move order? Because the answer was Flutter, Chien-Pao, Iron Bundle, and then Garchomp. So yeah, pretty surprising, huh? This team is really powerful and has a ton of priority moves. Dragonite and Chien-Pao can do so much damage. You got the Tera normal E-Speed, Bandit Outrages, and Aqua Jet, which is a little bit unusual, but it is another way that you can hit Flutter Main with the Dragonite. Like, you can go for Aqua Jet, Sucker Punch, and that might just KO the Flutter before they can move. King Gambit Sucker Punch can do a lot too, and having the Defiant will dissuade your opponents from bringing Intimidate. Iron Bundle is nice for speed control, Flutter's Flutter, and I decided on a faster set for this Flutter instead of the bulkier, slower one. The Arcanine actually hits pretty hard with the Flare Blitz as well. It's 120 with Stab, and you also have more priority with the Extreme Speed. The Safety Goggles and Terra Grass is a little bit redundant, but Terra Grass is nice to help deal with Dondozo, and with Safety Goggles you don't feel pressured to go for a Tera versus Amoonguss. The rest of the team is a little bit afraid of Spore, but when you run into an Amoonguss, I guess you could go for the James Spec special, go for a Side Wisp into your own Flutter, and you can't be spored. But that's enough about this team. If you do enjoy the video at any point, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and a sub to the channel. Renter code and Pokepaste will be in the description, but let's get on into the battles. My first opponent is using a Dark team, Mono Dark team with Murkrow, Tyranitar, Grimmsnarl, Iron Jugulis, King Gambit, and Chi-Yu. So versus this team, I thought about bringing the King Gambit on my side in the lead. If they bring something like the Chi-Yu, then maybe I could just go for a Tera Fire to resist any fire moves that they go for. And I also thought I would bring the Chien-Pao here. That should threaten a ton of damage. Chien-Pao's pretty solid into most of their team, and if they're bringing a Prankster lead, the Prankster can't really affect the Chien-Pao too much, and they're only going to be attacking with one slot in that case, or most likely. And that way I do have the Focus Sash, so I'll be able to take a hit. I thought I'd also have to bring Flutter Mane this battle just because it's a Mono Dark team. I have Fairy type moves on Flutter Mane, that's going to be very nice. And I also brought Arcanine here. I thought the Intimidate would be good, and if it's Chi-Yu in the lead and I Tera Fire the King Gambit, then I can also like protect the Chien-Pao, maybe just switch in the Arcanine as well. That could be good. Intimidate's going to be nice into the Tyranitar, but I do need to be careful around that King Gambit. Don't want to give them a free Defiant boost. Yeah, I was considering the Dragonite and the Flutter Mane. I didn't know which one I wanted to bring more here. I thought the E-Speed would be pretty good into most of my opponent's teams since it's Mono Dark. No Ghost types there to take it. But instead we're going to bring the Flutter Mane. Dazzling Gleam just seems too good. And my opponent's going to be setting out the Tyranitar and the Grimmsnarl. So Tyranitar, definitely threatening like rock moves to hit both my Pokemon, could hit the Chien-Pao super effectively, but some Tyranitars do run like low kick or a fighting move, so my King Gambit is a little bit scared. The thing is, if I do go for the Fire Tera on my King Gambit, then I am weak to the Rock Slide if they go for that, so I opted not to go for the Tera on the King Gambit, just kind of betting that they would not go for a low kick in this situation, and maybe if they even predict that I go for a Tera on my side. And then on the Chien-Pao slot, I thought I would just bring in the Arcanine here. Didn't feel like going for a Protect this turn, and instead just wanted like the Intimidate. Like, yeah, if they go for the Rock Slide, Arcanine's going to be taking super effective damage, but I at least get the Intimidate off. And I think if I burn them the next turn, then I could survive. We'll see. So there's the Intimidate on both their Pokemon. Gonna be nice into the Grimmsnarl as well. My opponent's gonna go for a Tera here, onto the Tyranitar, and it's Tera Rock. I'm gonna do a little more damage if they go for a Rock Slide here, and not gonna be taking 4 times from a Sacred Sword or something like that. But we went for an Iron Head, so it's Still gonna do pretty good damage. They end up going for a rock slide here, and it does more than half to Arcanine. That Tera Rock really just boosting the damage. And this Iron Head actually does less than half into their Tyranitar, and it's a weakness policy as well. That kind of sucks. I'm going to be protecting the Arcanine this turn just because my opponent could go for like a protect on their side. Maybe they parting shot my Arcanine, that could be annoying. But I don't really want the Arcanine to get parting shotted or maybe even taunted. I don't know if the Will-O-Wisp is even worth it at this point though, because they are at +2, or another Rock Slide would just kill my Arcanine anyways. So I'm just going to protect and Iron Head. They go for the taunt onto the Arcanine, so we at least still have the freedom to go for Will-O-Wisp if we choose to. But they are going to go for a Stomping Tantrum into the King Gambit. Does not do enough to KO though, so we're able to get this Iron Head off, bringing them even lower. And their Tyranitar is faster than my King Gambit, but probably not faster than my Arcanine. I don't know if it can be. But with the Arcanine, I'm just going to go for a Flare Blitz here into their Tyranitar, just finish it off, and then go for an Iron Head into the Grimmsnarl. They could KO me with the Spirit Break, I think, but that's okay. I don't think I need the King Gambit versus the rest of my opponent's team. King Gambit was really good for taking down this Tyranitar and using up their Tera, so thank you, King Gambit. No protects or anything from their side. They're going to let the Tyranitar go down to the Flare Blitz here. Also not a Prankster move from their side. So what does the Grimmsnarl go for? They go for the Spirit Break, but it's actually into the Arcanine, not the King Gambit, and it does like no damage. So King Gambit lives another day. We get an Iron Head off into the Grimmsnarl and bring it pretty low. That's definitely Dazzling Gleam range. Don't have to worry about a Tera or anything, or even a Light Screen if they set that up. My opponent's going to send in the Chi-Yu here. So Arcanine and King Gambit, two of the Pokemon I mentioned at the beginning of the battle, who I wanted to have in versus Chi-Yu, but King Gambit's HP is a little too low at this point, so I'm not going to go for the Terrifier. Instead, I'm just going to go for Sucker Punches and Extreme Speeds. We're going to go down swinging, but hopefully we bring the Chi-Yu into range of like the Fluttermane's Dazzling Gleam the following turn. Yeah, I just want to chip the Chi-Yu. King Gambit's not really threatening too much here. And it's already in range of a Dazzling Gleam, so we don't have to worry about that. Luckily no protect from the Chi-Yu. They're just going to take these hits, and they're going to set up a Light Screen with the Grimmsnarl. That's fine by me. It's actually pretty good damage, like probably 40%, and they go for a Heat Wave and it misses the Arcanine, so Arcanine lives another day. I feel like Arcanine potentially could have just lived that anyways, who knows. I don't know what set they're running, and we know that it's at least not Safety Goggles on the Chi-Yu, because they're taking damage. We did only use priority moves, so it could be Scarf potentially. Either way, Fluttermane is not going to drop to the Chi-Yu. And we can just go for a Dazzling Gleam here. And then just another E-Speed, I guess. I decided to go for the Tera Fairy here as well, just because I didn't think I needed the Tera for my Chien-Pao in the back. Like, maybe it'd be useful, but I think the Tera Fairy is going to be nice as well. If it is King Gambit in the back, which, I mean, I don't think it's Murkrow, so if it is the King Gambit, then Tera Fairy is going to be nice for Sucker Punches. We bring the Chi-Yu pretty low. I'm pretty confident in this Dazzling Gleam getting the KO. There's nothing the Grimmsnarl can do at this point, because we know it's set, it's dual screens plus Taunt plus Spirit Break. So Chi's gonna drop. And so is Grimmsnarl. So they only have one Pokemon left on their side, no Sandstorm either. And we have Healthy Flutter, we have Arcanine, and then we also have the Chien-Pao in the back versus his King Gambit, who does not have the ability to Tera, so we're just gonna Dazzling Gleam. With the Arcanine, I could go for a Flare Blitz, but I thought no point in like risking anything, so I just went for the Will-O-Wisp anyways. I think that's just always the better play. And either way, I don't think I need to be too scared because I always have Chien-Pao in the back who can go for a Secret Sword. Especially with my Unbroken Sash. So fortunately, they go for the Sucker Punch into the Arcanine. So it's going to be, I guess, the best turn that we could ask for. Dazzling Gleam is going to do some damage. I think it's probably an Assault Vest on their King Gambit, but you're going to miss that Will-O-Wisp though, so definitely could have been a better turn. But either way, it doesn't really matter. Game's pretty much sealed up at this point. We're just going through the motions, Dazzling Gleam, Will-O-Wisp, and it does land this time, so I don't think there's any way that the King Gambit can actually KO me. And a burned King Gambit does a little over half to the Flutter Mane. But that's going to be the end of the battle. GG's to my opponent. Very cool mono dark team. My next opponent is using Fluttermane, Garchomp, Gardevoir, Kilowattrel, Iron Bundle, and Talonflame. So it looks like their team just wants to establish speed control with like the Tailwind or Icy Wind, and then just sweep with like Garchomp, Fluttermane. I guess you also have like Disc Quake you can use. Maybe you have Telepathy Gardevoir who can deal a lot of damage. I don't know. I thought about bringing Arcanine here because their team looks like it really wants to play around that Garchomp. Arcanine has Intimidate and also can burn, but Terrifier, Clear Amulet, Garchomp kind of just invalidates Arcanine, so I ended up not bringing the Arcanine to this battle. I decided to bring Iron Bundle just because I thought it'd be nice to have my own speed control potentially, and then I brought King Gambit for like damage into like stuff like Fluttermane. If it was like a Garchomp lead, I could switch to the Dragonite and use Iron Bundle to like damage the Garchomp. Maybe I can E-speed the Dragonite after, or the Garchomp afterwards with my Dragonite to finish it off. Then I brought Chien-Pao in the back as well. It has Protect to help stall out Tailwind turns. Sucker Punch is nice priority. You know, I have Ice moves for all their flying types. Chien-Pao just seemed pretty good overall. But yeah, did not bring the Arcanine even though the Garchomp's the Garchomp is pretty scary on their side. I didn't bring the Fluttermane either because it is slow and pretty frail and my opponent's team is very, very fast. I don't know how I'm gonna outspeed them or even survive their hits, but we'll see. So my opponent's going to be sending out the Fluttermane and Talonflame in the lead. They don't reveal an item on the Fluttermane, so it could be Sash, could be Specs, could be something like that. Honestly, I'm leaning towards Specs mostly, so I think my opponent's probably going to go for like Tailwind, Dazzling Gleam, but they could go for a Wisp instead, potentially, just like to burn my King Gambit, and I think the burn would be pretty bad. So I ended up going for a Terrifier here. I don't think the Tera would be too useful on anyone else either, so went for the Terrifier. Maybe I could have Terra Normal the Garchomp, or not the Garchomp, the Dragonite, that might be nice as well. But I went for the Icy Wind and then Iron Head into the Fluttermane. I think I should have just saved my Tera though, because I don't think you go for a Will-O-Wisp here, or else you kind of lose out on the speed control. Because you just, you break the Gale Wings with the Icy Wind and then you're going to be slower. Maybe I can bring in Chien-Pao to finish you off, who knows? Depends on how much damage I can do. Yeah, we went for the Tera Fire here. My opponent is going to go for the Tail Window, so wasted the Tera. And then they're going to go for a Dazzling Gleam with the Flutter Mane. And that Dazzling Gleam is actually enough to KO my Iron Bundle. No Tera needed. And I kind of thought they would need the Tera. Maybe they just have a lot of special attack investment, or they just got a very nice roll. But either way, they KO the Iron Bundle. Did not get much value out of that. We did get revenge for our Iron Bundle with the King Gambit, but now I expect the Garchomp to come in, and so I send in his Chien-Pao. I want to stall out some turns with the Protect potentially. I could send in my Dragonite to go for, to just take the Earthquake since it has a flying type, but I thought I would just sack the King Gambit here to an Earthquake, get a Sucker Punch off before I go with the Sword of Ruin, to get some good chip onto the Garchomp, and then after that maybe I can get the KO with the Sword of Ruin E-Speed, we'll see. So yeah, we're just going to protect Chien-Pao here, and kind of just send King Gambit off with a Sucker Punch. My opponent is going to go for a Tera here, probably a Tera on Garchomp is my guess, to, I guess, take a hit from Chien-Pao maybe, if it was scared of me surviving with like my Focus Sash. We are just going to protect here. Except we're not, because they are going to use Feint and break through my Protect, which is some pretty cool tech. Feint Talonflame. We do go for the Sucker Punch into the Garchomp, but if Garchomp attacks here and goes for that Earthquake, it's going to hurt a ton. Maybe I could have gone for a Sucker Punch as well with the Chien-Pao, but wanted to save it, wanted the Sword of Ruin to be next to the Dragonite. Thought I would need it for a chance to win this battle, but Chien-Pao is going to go down. He gets crit, but I don't know if the crit really mattered, because it is a Terra Ground Garchomp. We also don't know its item. Could be like Bandit or something, we'll see. But King Gambit's going to feint, it's only going to be Dragonite left versus 3 of my opponent's Pokemon. And it's not looking good. But, you know, I've seen Dragonites win some pretty outrageous situations, so I just decided to stay in. We're going to go for the E-Speed into the Talonflame and just hope that we get like the world's biggest crit, KO the Talonflame. Luckily the Flutter Mane is gone, so they can't go for that to just completely wall me. So Extreme Speed can at least hit my opponent's team. I'm actually going to switch out the Garchomp here, which, you know, it's a sign. We have hope, because they can't attack with that slot this turn. Dragonite stays a little bit healthier. But we will have to take down a Booster Speed Iron Bundle, and it's no easy task. Extreme Speed actually does like no damage to Talonflame, not even half. And they go for a taunt into my Dragonite. So no Will-O-Wisp on this Talonflame, most likely because they went for a taunt. I don't think a Dragon Dance would have saved me there, but it's okay. I'm just going to try to E-Speed the Talonflame again. Not much I can really do here. But they also have Quick Guard, so they're going to always win this game anyways, as long as they keep clicking that move. Pretty interesting Talonflame set. Got 2 interesting techs with the Feint and the Quick Guard. And Freeze Dry is actually enough to KO me through my multi-scale. Dragonite's gonna go down, and we're gonna lose this battle. So, how do I play this differently, because I got outsped and I could not survive their attacks? I think I needed to identify that the Garchomp is most likely not Tera Fire on Team Preview, because it wouldn't work with like Disquake, and it's nice to have the damage boost when it's enabled by so much of their team, like the Telepathy Gardevoir, the flying types. So versus that Garchomp, the Arcanine would have been pretty good here. They also could have been choiced since they did switch out versus my Dragonite, so I think the Arcanine would have had a lot of value here. Maybe even to the lead, I bring Arcanine and Iron Bundle, and I can threaten E-Speed to break the Gale Wings, and then I can Hydro Pump into the Talonflame. If they go for like a Tera on the Talonflame, that means they can't Tera the Garchomp later. And if they go for a Dazzling Gleam to KO my bundle, then that means they didn't KO my Arcanine. So I think I would have just gotten more from my opponent with that lead on turn 1, and then if I just had Dragonite Chien-Pao in the back to threaten with priority, I think it would have been pretty good. So my next opponent's team looks pretty unusual. They have Drifblim and Armarouge Indeedee, Fluttermane, Gallade, and Iron Hands. So with Drifblim, you can give it like a Psychic Seed, so when it's activated by the Psychic Terrain, you get that Unburden boost, making you very fast. The thing is, Iron Bundle is going to be faster than that with the Booster Energy, so I could bring Iron Bundle for the speed control there, but I ended up not because I didn't think the damage from Iron Bundle would be very good, and I don't think the speed control is going to be that important. So instead, I ended up focusing more on removing the Psychic Terrain, because the Psychic Terrain is going to be pretty annoying. This team has a lot of priority with like Extreme Speed, Sucker Punches, stuff like that. I think it's going to be really important to get rid of that, so I was going to bring Chien-Pao in the lead just to get rid of that Psychic Terrain, and then next to it, I liked Fluttermane just to deal with most of the other stuff. There's not much like synergy between them, like you're not utilizing the Sword of Ruin with the Fluttermane, and you're just kind of weakening yourself, but they can like cover for each other a bit, I guess. Like, at least the Fluttermane will be nice to have if they bleed like Iron Hands. I also brought D-Knight here because once I get rid of the terrain, like E-Speed's gonna be pretty good, maybe. I can also use Kingambit's Sucker Punch, that's also gonna be nice for when they're gone. But yeah, no Iron Bundle, even though it would outspeed the Drifblim just because it's not too great into everything else. And then I didn't bring Arcanine because there was only one like physical attacker and I could get walled by like the Armarouge. Otherwise, Arcanine, I guess they have 2 physical attackers with the Gallade too. But I guess otherwise Arcanine would be okay. I just didn't like it if it was versus the Armarouge, so I didn't bring it. My opponent's going to be leading the Indeedee and the Drifblim here. There's a Psychic Surge setting up the terrain. It's going to activate the Seed. Right? Yep. And now Drifblim gets that Unburden boost to be very, very fast. The thing is, Drifblim's not too scary. They could go for like Tailwind and stuff to help support their team, so maybe it's not like a Trick Room mode. But I don't know what the Indeedee's gonna go for. If they go for Follow Me, that's fine. I just want to go for an Ice Spinner to remove this terrain, and then I'll go for a Dazzling Gleam. Hopefully this KOs. I thought about going for a Tera for extra damage to KO the Indeedee, but I thought the Tera on like one of my back Pokemon, like the Dragonite for extra E-Speed damage, or the Chien-Pao to avoid like fighting type moves from the Iron Hands or Gallade would be very good, so no Tera on the Fluttermane this turn. They just end up going for a Tailwind Dazzling Gleam. I kind of forgot that on like teams with Indeedee Drifblim that you can have a more offensive Indeedee sometimes, but you know, more offensive Indeedee means you're not as bulky. Ice Spinner is going to hurt a lot more. So Ice Spinner plus Dazzling Gleam removes the terrain and removes the Indeedee for good. Now we can use priority moves again. My opponent's going to bring in the Iron Hands next. I thought about like going for Protects here, especially since, you know, Chien-Pao is in danger. They could go for a Fake Out, and that is pretty obvious. If I just hard switch the Dragonite, I do lose the multi-scale. But I didn't want to just have the Sword of Ruin on the field potentially if they were trying to attack the Fluttermane with like Acrobatics or something like that. That would hurt a little bit more. So I decided to switch the Chien-Pao this turn, and then just go with another Dazzling Gleam on the Fluttermane. So Dragonite's going to come on in. My opponent's going to go for a Tera here, probably a Tera on the hands, just to take this fairy move a little bit better. Could be Grass, could be Fire, or it could be Electric. So now they only have a weakness to ground moves. We do have the Stomping Tantrum as an option. Let's see what they go for here. They just end up taking out the Dragonite, that's okay. You break the multi-scale, but it's okay, not the end of the world. And the Shadow Ball into the Fluttermane is not enough to pick up the KO. So the Dazzling Gleam does a good amount. but it's the leftovers on the Iron Hands, which, you know, means they could have Protect on this set. Maybe it's like Sword Stance as a 4th move. This turn, I'm not confident in like outspeeding this Iron Hands with the Tailwind, honestly, so I actually just go for an Aqua Jet into the Drifblim just to remove it. And I'm also going to switch the Flutter Mane to reset my move. I don't think they're going to ever attack the Flutter Mane with the Iron Hands. I don't think that they feel too worried about losing the or I feel like they're pretty confident that they're going to be able to take out the Flutter Mane here with the Drifblim, because, you know, they are super fast, they have the Tailwind, usually Dragonites only have E-Speed, so they should feel pretty untouchable. But I think if I just Aqua Jet the Drifblim and then switch out my Flutter Mane to reset my choice item, then, you know, if they hopefully like they KO the Chien-Pao who's switching in, giving me a free switch, and I still have a healthy Dragonite. But if they do attack the Dragonite with their Tera Electric Hands, I was kind of expecting them to just go for Wild Charge and take like a ton of recoil, because my Dragonite does have quite a bit of health. Not like a ton of HP investment, because I invested like everything into speed instead, but lots of health. And they do go for a Wild Charge into the Dragonite. That's going to be like at least, what, 50 HP in recoil. That's a pretty good chunk. A little less than half now, but they do have the leftovers for the recovery. And we do have the Chien-Pao in. I decided to bring in the Flutter again instead of the King Gambit, just because, you know, they could go for the fighting move, so I want to bring the Iron Hands a little bit lower first. Don't want to give them the health pack just yet. And luckily it is Armarouge in the very last slot. I thought my opponent might just go for a Wide Guard with the Armarouge, since we haven't seen that out of them yet. They could have also just like protect the Armarouge, attack with the hands, you know, or just protect the hands, attack with the Armarouge. But I'm going to Shadow Ball the Armarouge. They don't have a Tera to go for it on that slot anymore. So if it does hit the Armarouge, the Shadow Ball should just pick up the KO. And luckily it was the Wide Guard. So no damage from their Armarouge's turn, not like it would have been able to attack anyways, because my Flutter Mane is fast and strong. My Spinner does plenty of damage into the Iron Hands, and my Pokemon are so weak that even if they do Drain Punch the Chien-Pao, they're not getting any health out of it. So they take out the Chien-Pao. They go from red to just above red, probably restoring more HP with the leftovers here. But we're going to bring in the King Gambit next. A Sucker Punch and a Shadow Ball should just finish off the Iron Hands here. Don't have to worry about a Tailwind. And I don't think we'll be needing to use Tera this game. It's just going to be kind of a longer animation, so I just went for the Dazzling Gleam and then the Sucker Punch. Or not the Dazzling Gleam, the Shadow Ball. I forgot I switched moves. But my opponent decides to go for a Detect. I'm going to stall out one more turn, get some leftovers recovery, which, you know, I can respect that. Just doing everything they can to give them the best odds of surviving, I guess. Maybe I misplay somewhere, click the wrong move, maybe I get some Joy-Con drift to attack my own Pokemon. Who knows? But now I'm just gonna end up going for the Tera just to be extra safe. This guy is a little bit healthier now. We're gonna go for the Shadow Ball plus the Tera Fire Sucker Punch. But this King Gambit did go, but this Iron Hands did go for the Tera Electric, so they're not going to be able to resist this Sucker Punch anymore. And it brings them down super low. No way this Shadow Ball doesn't pick up the KO. And that's going to be all. GG's to my opponent. That's going to be all for this one. Thank you so much for watching. This video was a bit shorter, but my time has been split doing some other stuff like prepping for Regulation D, so as an apology for a shorter video and a thank you for watching to the end, I'm going to share my secret on how to catch a low attack IV legendary Pokemon using Regieleki as an example. The secret to this whole strategy is a move called Strength Sap. Strength Sap heals the user an amount equal to the target's attack stat. So I can use a low HP, Salic Berry, Unburden, Driftblim with Strength Sap to determine my opponent's attack stat in one turn. Then if it's not a stat that I'm looking for, I reset. If it is, then I go through the trouble of catching it, and then I check to just make sure it's not a random IV plus a nature affecting it. But hopefully that helps. Once again, thank you so much for watching, subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time, bye bye.